Thank you so much. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I will start with my 15 minutes presentation. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and to present a view for the quantum secure communication. Of course, I think this is very well known for everybody that quantum technologies have enabled to develop the different aspects in the fields of processing, communication, and sensing. One of the challenges that we have when working on these technologies in defense is that this is a dual type of technology that can be used not only for defense, but also for a wide variety of commercial applications. So here in this talk, I'm going to give a wide overview about the system, and the colleagues that will come later, they will also discuss about more the physical aspect and device aspects. So these are the different quantum pillars. As you know, the quantum secure communication, it is always integrates the quantum communication, but also the post-quantum cryptography. Until the quantum communication cannot be able to authenticate itself, then we have to use the post-quantum cryptography as well. So all these technologies have the potential, and really they are revolutionizing, changing the way that defense operations are. So now it is foreseen that with these new technologies, we have enhanced capabilities, not only in the way that we sense the environment, but also that we process the different information for having, for example, different tactical advantage, etc., but also in the way that we communicate. Both technologies are very relevant because we have to take into account that we have legacy systems that we have to integrate into this new world. But in general, the quantum technologies, they reshape the way that defense is seen and developed. So, of course, Europe is very committed to have this vision and to leverage on all the different disruption that the people in Europe, for example, is developing, so that we can take it up, we can leverage on these to develop different defense tools. What you know, obviously, it is why we care about that. So we know the quantum computers, they are very important for three main kind of applications. First one, simulating complex systems. Second, optimizing hard problems. But the third one is security. So these quantum computers are able to impact the symmetric cryptography that is used to exchange information in a very fast way by halving the security, but also will be able to break the public key cryptography. The public key cryptography is the one that we use to exchange keys, to make authentication, etc. So we need to find new ways of doing that also in the part of defense. When will this happen? It is foreseen that these quantum computers will be ready, or we have had a high risk that they appear in the next 10 years. But if it's in 10 years, well, we don't care. So in defense, we have different devices with different life cycles, and it is expected that these quantum computers will arrive in, let's see, the 10 years. After this, we will have to start a process for transitioning towards a quantum secure mechanism. So what does it mean? That during all this time, everything or the devices that are already deployed in the field will be exposed to attack. And in addition, when we talk in defense, this is very important. There is already different rogue elements that are recording secure information now, to decrypt it later with a quantum computer. So that is why it is important and relevant to take into consideration the quantum secure capabilities now, not only for making a crypto-agile or a fast update when the risk comes, but also to already prevent most of the military information has a long-term security. So that is why here we have a risk and opportunity risk, because our data, it is exposed or might be exposed, or somebody can already record this information, but it's an opportunity to innovate as well. And this is why there was already advised by the National Security Agency of USA that already is adopting the quantum secure communication in defense, as we saw the armed forces already contracting companies for deploying quantum secure communication for securing their premises, but also in the governmental information. In defense, we have a very challenging environment when compared to the commercial ones. So first of all, in the defense environment, we have devices, or we have assets with that require the long-term security. So that means that they are managing critical information that require that it keeps secure for a long time. We have different levels of criticality. That means that we have different levels of security, that different assets of different nations that have to come together in order, for example, to execute a mission. In addition, we have a huge heterogeneity, and this means in the kind of devices, but also in the processing and storage capability, as well as the way that they communicate. So they have different protocols that are involved. They also have a wide variety of technologies that are involved. So, for example, they already many devices using just RF, for example. Not all can be can be implemented using optical fibers or free space optics. So we have a heterogeneous environment. So that is why, and on top of this, we have to implement these quantum secure capabilities. As I mentioned before, there are two ways to implement these quantum secure capabilities: by quantum communication that use this new infrastructure with quantum links that leverage on the fact that these quantum links cannot be hacked, and also they cannot, any eavesdrop can be detected. And we have the post-quantum cryptography, a set of mathematical problems that are different from the ones that we know before until now, and they are believed to be resistant to the attacks with quantum computers. What I want to mention is that these technologies are not competing each other, but they are like different security technologies that can be take advantage and that can implement or protect the different assets and fulfill different requirements in the field of defense. Even it is expected that in order to achieve a higher level of protection, it is good that we have a layer approach when we are going to have a traditional crypto on top post-quantum crypto and on top QKD. Remember that when we talk about the part of the defense and military environments, not all the crypto that is used or the cryptography that is used is the one that is standardized for the commercial system. So let's talk briefly about the post-quantum cryptography. So these algorithms can be classified in five different families. In each family, we have a wide variety of algorithms, each one with different properties. What I want to highlight, I'm not going to go deep into the different advantages and disadvantages of the different families. What I want to highlight is that there is not a single solution that seems good for everywhere or every application. What we know is that some algorithms are very fast, but they can, for example, they have a wide signatures or wide ciphertext that becomes very complex to be exchanged into, for example, some link 16 or other defense protocols. So these have to be taken into account. They are different families with different properties, and it seems that there is not a winner take all applications. So what does it mean here? What you see is a benchmark of the different post-quantum algorithms in terms for key exchange, this functionality for exchanging keys and for signing in terms of the key sizes and also the speed. Here in red, what we see is how the traditional cryptography that we use now behaves. What we can observe is that While there are some few algorithms that can be faster than the traditional algorithms, the sizes of the information that we have to exchange is always worse. So that means that we will have a huge amount, huge packets that have to be transported to very long bandwidth channels, for example, and that they have to be chunked on different frames for some cases. So what I want to reflect with that is that there is not an obvious PQC alternative that the plug and play to any protocol that we know. It is not relevant, it is unlikely, and in addition that we might not meet the performance requirements. Another point that is very important is that it will depend the selection of this algorithm to the use case, and that it all will need to be implemented in a military grade of implementation when we talk about defense. So it's not just the algorithm. It is good, but this is how we make it, how they make it the implementation suitable for defense. So here what we have is the roadmap for the standardization of these algorithms carried out by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. Just some weeks ago, the NIST already released the standard, so we already have a standard for the post-quantum cryptography, and here is the Airbus footprint. So we have been pioneer in the implementation of these algorithms for a wide variety of applications, as well as the crypto agility methodologies and designs for adopting this kind of cryptography, where Airbus was the first, Airbus designed the first European chip with post-quantum capabilities already fabricated in 2021. And currently, we are dedicated to integrate into different defense environment this algorithm. So this is about PQC, what we know that is very important for our legacy, but also because it can provide authentication mechanisms for the communication of the quantum links. As we know, the quantum links can be implemented in a daisy chain through a terrestrial and space segment constituting a quantum network. The terrestrial network has the advantage that it can be implemented in an optical fiber or free space, and it has high throughput but limited coverage, having a maximum distance between different trusted nodes of about 100 kilometers. The space, it has a wide coverage. However, it has a low throughput due to that also can be impacted due to weather, to pollution conditions. So the idea is that it is possible to mix both segments. Terrestrial segments have been already widely demonstrated in different countries in Europe. Also, the space segment have been widely demonstrated in different orbits, mostly LEO orbits. And here I highlight the demonstration of Airbus in 2019, when QKD devices were integrated into drones for the first time already in 2019. Okay. Also, one thing that I want to mention is that in the defense, as well as it's been now for commercial purposes, we've foreseen that this kind of network will be deployed in the terrestrial, but also in the space segment. And in the future, they will cover also the airborne capability. So we are going to be able to integrate it into drones or aircraft in order to enhance the service provision. But when we talk about quantum, it's not only about the quantum layer and all the quantum devices to create the quantum links. We talk about the interoperability and how we can integrate into the networks, and this integration should be in a secure way. So this is very relevant in order that we keep the security of the end-to-end service provision in the quantum network. Europe has a strategy to deploy these networks for the protection of different European assets, and this is what they call the EuroQCI. The EuroQCI includes the terrestrial and the space segment covered by SAGA and also Eagle One program. The Airbus here, we show the footprint as a leader of the system design initiative of the quantum networks in Europe, being the designer of the end-to-end architecture for the EuroQCI, and also designer of the backbone in the different phases of Saga, and the designer and integrator of the optical ground station in Eagle One. So in addition, we are also participant of the Anchor project, that is an EDA project that is with the design of quantum networks for the defense segment. The optical ground station for this EuroQCI and also defense capabilities will be launched as a product in 2027. And in the future, we foreseen that, as I mentioned, that these quantum capabilities will be expanded by using and embedding these quantum devices in hubs, that is pseudo satellites, as well as different drones, in order to achieve a wide coverage in the combat environment, as well as in different service environments, when it's characterized by being very dynamic and require of highly provision of service. Just to conclude, what matters when we think about quantum networks? So first of all, the sovereignty matters. So that means that it is expected that the different nations will have the independence and the sovereignty decision about the hardware resources and logical resources. So that is why it is foreseen a network of network, a backbone. It is not a good way to communicate all these networks. We have to consider that we have to have national and international exercise for defense. So it is very important, this interoperability and how we can work together. Security level matters. Different countries may adopt different security levels, and these have to be discussed and agreed so that the different security exercise can be successful. And interoperability, irrelevant not only between the different national domains, but also between the terrestrial and space segment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johanna. That was quite an informative presentation. I added a few comments on the back at the definitely. So to the field, before we go to our next presenter, this is the Quantum Work Group, and we are a work group. So do we have any questions? Johanna, would you mind answering any questions to our audience, if we have any at this time?
Yes, for sure. Please, happy to.
Okay, and if we don't worry about it. We'll have further time to answer questions. But you know, sometimes you have one right now. So I'm not really seeing any activity right now. That's okay. Johanna, thank you so much. I will ask a question. Okay, I'll ask a question to get this going, because I really had a good experience interfacing with EuroQCI in Ireland. So for those that are entering this arena, can we interface with EuroQCI? Like, do you think a smaller or SME is that possible for us?
So you mean to enter into the program of EuroQCI?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so currently, what is the status? So since last year, the European Commission have paid for each member state, so 26 of the 27 member states, to deploy a national terrestrial deployment. So in your country, there already are a consortium that is deploying the demonstrator for the terrestrial segment for this nation. So I think one of the good way to get more information is enter in contact with the project manager or some member of the consortium, so that you can cooperate among them. Then the next phase, it is the cross-border connectivity of the different nations. And for that, for example, there is an working group that is the EuroQCI Technical Working Group that I lead. For example, we are discussing about interoperability, about the different member states and the different aspects of security that enter into it. And I think for the next phase, I think January next year we'll start the next call, or next year, I cannot say that it's January, but next year we'll start the next calls for this inter-domain. So I think it's also another opportunity for new players to come up and provide their input into this new phase of the development of the EuroQCI.
Thank you so much, Johanna. So for our audience, what that means, and this is really quite profound, thank you. You can get into this program, monitor, and you already have a national contact point. And if the national contact point is not responsive, you can easily find a project manager that will be highly responsive. My experience, I saw every single member state represented. So for our audience, if you want to get involved with QKD and satellite communication, the only thing holding you back is lack of action. It's ready to go. Do I understand that correctly, Johanna?
Correct. That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So, oh wait, we have a question here. And now I'm happy to read this. I'm happy to read this out. So, is the limitation of 100 kilometers over fiber optic likely to increase in the near future?
So I think hopefully we overcome this limitation. So and I think that is why there is a lot of work on different optical receivers in order to increase this, and it's a combination about these optical receivers together with the loss of the fiber. Usually, this limitation is mainly dominated by the loss of the fiber. And we expect that in the future, we can have quantum repeaters. And these quantum repeaters, then we can have a more flexible network when less security constraint of these nodes. Because as I mentioned before, and we can discuss later, but this network is constituted by a set of trusted nodes. And why they call it trusted? Because yes, the key exchange is doing by using the quantum properties and the quantum leaks, but as we don't have the quantum memories, we have to store this information in a binary way, in a classical way, into a memory. So we lose the quantum advantage. That's why these boxes have to be surrounded by a huge and secure infrastructure in order to avoid the tampering of these trusted nodes.
Okay.